The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, breathing into a paper bag. I'm trying to calm down a little bit. You know, John just quoted a remarkable stat out of the New York Times that in the 30 states where they track voter registration over the past 4 years, Democrats have lost to Republicans in every single state. Why?
So this is the $24 million question, right? Why are Democrats not, why are the polls bad? Why are they not breaking through? And I think it's a couple things. I think one is the people who are breaking through are brave, right? They talk like humans. They make the case, you know. And again, it's like Pritzker's chief of staff told me. It's not necessarily left versus center. It's fight versus cave. And the people who fight get support. And the people who cave or are mealy-mouthed or are, you know, very sort of corporatist-y, that crew, the crew that's afraid, cannot break through, does not appeal to voters. The question is, it's only going to be for people who really feel authentic, right?
Sherrod's never been afraid of his shadow.
Exactly.
He's always spoken his mind.
Chris Murphy, Sherrod Brown, Mondami, these people, AOC, they're not all exactly the same politically, but they are the same in the fact that they're brave and they break through.
They're brave. They're brave. And they break through. Yes, my friends, that's what the winning message apparently is for Democrats. Be brave. Be brave. Democrat oppressors, be brave. Welcome to the fastest hour in American media. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour here. Glad you are with us. Of course, big day for Donald Trump. Keep the music there. Keep the music going. And let's play cut 3, Carlos. Yeah, this was certainly good and welcome news. This is CNN's Ellie Honig talking about the story that broke this afternoon.
Well, I'm not Wolf. I have been skeptical of the Attorney General's case for a long time. I'm on record saying that this is a huge win for Donald Trump any way you cut it, and this is a stinging rebuke to the Attorney General, Letitia James. The finding here, it's a very long, complicated ruling, but the bottom line is, while the finding of liability against Donald Trump can stand, for now at least, the damages award, which started at $350 million with interest, gets up close to $500 million, that is thrown out. And the core reason for that ruling, according to the judges, is essentially that there was not enough of a showing here that there were actual victims. And just to refresh people's memories, this is the civil fraud lawsuit brought by the Attorney General. The core allegation is that Donald Trump habitually overvalued his own assets when he was trying to get bank loans from banks and other lenders. And essentially, the argument that Donald Trump made below that has now had resonance in the appeals court is you're talking about very sophisticated, quote-unquote, victims. These are billion-dollar banks that made the loans, got repaid on the loans by Donald Trump with interest, and actually profited to the tune of millions of dollars. So it's not the typical type of fraud case where you have somebody stealing money from other people or ripping off unknowing consumers. So this ruling by the appeals court is monumental. It was also very unusual in that it took them nearly a year to reach this decision. As Caitlin Polance just said, the next step is going to be to go up to the highest court in the state, the Court of Appeals in New York State.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with the Court of Appeals in New York State. But here's something else, folks. The excess, and this was talked about, the excessive. The New York Appeals Court judges said the judgment was excessive. What does that mean? That means that this judge, that Donald Trump who complained about all this time for being biased, to me, it has proven his point. The judge should have known that this was an excessive award, but what color did that's racial language. What was the flavor going on in this Judge Engoron's mind when he came up with this excessive award against Donald Trump? I think there's a lot more to this case that needs to be taken up on appeal, including at some point some ruling on the judge's behavior in all of this, because to allow this excessive award was, to me, nothing short of political vengeance. And so this little card in this massive deck of cards that the Democrat Party, their flunkies, their allies, including men and women who wear the robes, is being exposed before the whole nation. So good going, but this should only be the beginning. Now, Texas, last night. The Texas House passed an aggressively, according to the New York Times, an aggressively partisan congressional map last night. After weeks of legislative combat giving Trump the gerrymander he requested, possibly 5 new Republican seats, you have the usual. And this stuff gets so tiresome. So let's just go through some of it. You know the issues by this time. You know what has happened, what has transpired. Let's turn to PMS-NBC, which is soon to become PMS Now, that stands for something. I forgot what it is already that they stand for. Now, news, something, our source,
my source, news, opinion, world.
Okay, my source, propaganda. To just cut it short. You should have named it PMSP. PMS propaganda. But, okay, anyway, one of the biggest race baiters according to some people believe, I should say, a man that has done more to exacerbate racial tensions in the United States, Al Sharpton, was interviewed on PMS-NBC, soon to be PMS Propaganda Now. And that would be cut 8, and this is what he said.
Rev, we talked about it earlier in the show. There was a lot of Democrats I spoke to had sort of hoped that Texas wouldn't go through with this because they themselves don't think this redistricting, this gerrymandering is a good idea. But now that it's happening, they say, look, it's time to fight fire with fire, and it seems like there's real momentum here. California, New York, maybe beyond. I would argue not good for the democracy, but the Democratic Party feels like it doesn't have a choice.
No, I think that it is real momentum because it is clear that the districts they're going after are not only Democratic, but they're mostly black or brown. And you're dealing now with the whole question of the voting rights and something that we've seen the Supreme Court chip away. Now we're seeing the actual moving of districts that has no kind of sense of making sure we have racial balance and balance that would show that we're representing a constituency. Now we're nitpicking to make sure we do it by party. This is as bad as it gets.
Yeah, it is not representative of the American voter.
This is as bad as it. We're nitpicking. That we got not making sure that it's represented to dear Al. I understand that you have to try to find a racist angle in everything. I get it. But would you please just tell the truth? I understand how difficult that is. 4 of the 5 districts on this new map, 4 of 5 of these districts are majority what? Does anyone have any idea? Carlos, you shake your head. You don't. TJ, 4 or 5 districts are what in this new Texas map? Take a wild guess. Why?
Democrat.
No, they're Hispanic majority. So this guy's talking about that this Republican map is taking away the vote. We have racial. 4 of the 5 districts are majority Hispanic districts in the new map. So nobody is taking away the votes of brown or whatever black people. I think maybe what has him upset is if my understanding is that Jasmine's district has been sort of, how shall we say, overhauled is a good word, yes. Why, yes, overhauled. That Jasmine's going to have to figure out what to do. In fact, Jasmine has some comments as usual. She was on with Gasm the Great. And cut 13, and so here's that woman.
You can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now that the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country are MAGA and this president. We are the real patriots, and it is time for us to take our flag back and show people what America is about. You can't say that you love the Constitution while decimating it with every single stroke of a pen for an executive order, while decimating it, while you are disrespecting our troops that have signed up to protect our freedoms, not just here, but abroad. And then you're taking people's freedoms away using those exact same troops.
What is this woman talking about? What in the world is she talking about? All I know is, does anybody know if that woman's married? No. She's not married? Some guy got spared because he would have to listen to that in the morning. He'd have to listen to it at night. Some poor guy has got spared. Well, we assume guy. I make an assumption here. But whoever it is got spared. Because could you imagine waking up to that? Just play a little bit of it one more time. Just a little bit.
You can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now.
Okay, could you just imagine waking up to that in the morning? You can wave all the flags you want to. You got time for it to take back. Just, Lordy, have mercy. Jasmine Crockett, I have no idea what she was really trying to say there about especially bringing the military into it. But the point of the matter is this. Now, by the way, there is something about this redistricting that I would like to say. As much as I talk about California, and how California has 2.5 illegal immigrants in it. 2. Yes.
I'm on her social media. I'm way back, and I see no man.
Oof, I wonder what that means. Anyway, do you know that Texas has approximately 2.1 illegal immigrants residing in Texas? So I would like to see an enforcement presence from ICE, especially in Austin, Texas, especially in Houston, however, if you're in New York and I used to get confused. You ever driven down New York to Houston Street and first everyone was calling it Houston Street? Well, I was going, we're on Houston. No, you're on Houston Street.
Yeah, you just have to go with it.
Go with it, but it still looks like it's Houston Street.
Yeah, it's written exactly like Houston. Exactly,
but it's Houston Street. Well, okay, send ICE to Houston or Houston. Send ICE to, please send ICE to San Antonio. Send ICE to Dallas, and let's start seeing some action in those districts. By the way, anyway, we got to take a quick break because we need some time on the other side. And I know I didn't make the point I was going to make about Jasmine, but it's irrelevant and it doesn't matter. Hopefully, when these new districts are all fleshed out and voted on, Jasmine will be a memory, politically speaking, of course. Anyway, we'll be back. James Golden, Snerdley. Fastest hour in American media continues.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I have a news story today, folks, of James Carville, James S. Carville, S stands for Serpent Head, urging that voters pretty much kick the excrement out of J.D. Vance. This is the quote. Kick the S out of Vance every chance you get. And so you want to go to California. Let's listen to more language. This from the governor, Gavin Newsom, toward Republicans in general.
This is radical rigging of a midterm election. Radical rigging of an election, destroying, vandalizing this democracy the rule of law. So I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
So he is going to, we Democrats are going to punch these, speaking of Republicans, we are going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth. This from governor of the state of California, where 40% Republican votes are already ignored. They only have 9% of the population represented. And Governor Newsom is going to go on the attack against the remaining voters and Republican voters in California. And his aim, as you just heard him, is to punch these sons of bitches. On top of Carville's language suggesting that J.D. Vance have the S kicked out of him. This is your Democrat Party today. And if anything is radical, it is the way that California has already gerrymandered and not followed the rule of law, and how that suppresses the vote of every American in states not California. Don't go away, folks. We have got so much more, including news from D.C., which you will hear shortly. So whatever you do, keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Getting crushed by capitalism is like so cringe, but it's like it's happening to me. And like I got a PhD from Berkeley, and like I can't get a job to save my life. Like I got a soil biology PhD. And
soil biology.
Like now I'm a tutor and a babysitter and a dog sitter. And
soil biology.
Like part of that is because like I don't want to like move to some random place in the middle of nowhere. Oh. But like the other half is like they cut all the funding for science, and like the biotech market is just like absolutely cratered, and like I have long COVID, so it's difficult for me to work like a full-time job, and just like I got on here to rant a little bit, but like, oh my God, like, what do we do? I just have to work.
Like I got a job like in like soil biology, but like the jobs aren't like everywhere. Like doesn't hire people for like a soil biologist. So like also I had like COVID and I can't like work like, full time. Like I don't want to move to like where there's lots of soil, because like I'm a soil biologist, and like I want to stay in the city or like stay like, cause I can't move like where there's soil, so I could biologize with it. But I tell you, young kids have it so tough today. They really do. They do. You guys, your generation, Carlos, Jonas, your guys' generation has it tough. It's never been this tough before. In the past, from the 1800s, the 1700s, do you know that soil biologists never had a problem getting a job? But now it's capitalism. James Golden and Snerdley with you here. Let's see. Okay. California is set to act fast. You know this, and we know the point. I just have this story up because of one quote. Not from a Democrat either, from a Republican in California, Assemblyman James Gallagher, the minority leader of the Republicans with no voice in the Democrat supermajority state. He says that Donald Trump was wrong to push for new Republican seats elsewhere. He said, though, that Trump was just responding to Democratic gerrymandering in other states. So why was he wrong? Why do you have to say Donald Trump was wrong? He warned that Gavin Newsom's approach, fighting fire with fire, is going to be dangerous. You move forward fighting fire with fire. What happens? He says you burn it all down. Well, Democrats have already burned it all down in California, which is why you're sitting in the minority with no elective voice in California whatsoever. But no, Donald Trump is wrong. Really? Okay, I want to move on to a few things really quickly here, folks. First, let's listen to a news report out of D.C. This outfit is called FNTV, and here's their news report. I thought at first that this was a mainstream press report, and you will hear yourself, that's cut 11, Carlos, you will hear why this would never lead the news on one of your favorite mainstream media networks.
When the National Guard hit the ground in Washington last week, that city's crime fight went into overdrive. And now we're seeing the impact and the dramatic reductions in crime. When the National Guard rolled into Washington last week, the locals seemed skeptical.
The crime is minimal here. There's not really a lot of crime here. It looks like window dressing to me.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
When you have these kind of numbers going down, it basically says this is a success, and that means people feel safer.
Like many big cities, Washington's police department is critically short-staffed.
People who don't feel safe aren't free.
Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says it is ripe for federal help.
More police generally equals less crime.
Now, you have all of that, but you still have whining and moaning. And I love Scott Jennings. I'm just going to tell you, Scott's been on the show once before. One of these days he's busy. He's got his own radio show now, and he's still, of course, busy slaying them every night on Abby's show, which I refuse. It's really the Scott Jennings show. That's what it should be called. The Scott Jennings show with Abby pontificating every now and then. But anyway, there was polling out that 80% of the D.C. residents are opposed to Donald Trump's measures to bring safety to their city. All right, fine. Scott Jennings was asked about it, and Abby was incredulous at Scott's answers. Cut 12. This is what that segment, a brief excerpt of what was in that segment of the show.
So now it doesn't matter, Scott Jennings, that voters are not happy with what Trump's doing, don't feel safer, all of that.
I don't care what they think. I mean, these are the same people who elected the mayor and city council that ran the city's public safety into the ground in the first place.
You don't care what the residents...
They don't know what's good for them.
You don't care what the residents of D.C. think.
I do not. I do not care one bit, and I'll tell you something else.
I feel like I do remember just a couple of weeks ago you were saying, well, secretly, D.C. residents really want this because they know the crime is so bad. Now we actually have the numbers that say, will Trump's federal takeover reduce violent crime? 65% say no, just 20% say yes. Do you feel like the presence of federal officers makes you feel safer, more safe, 18%, less safe, 61%?
Why would they say that? They're out arresting criminals. They're arresting illegal aliens. They're getting illegal guns off the streets. An MS-13 illegal alien was taken out off the streets the other night. They're obviously safer. But, you know, there's another population that cares about public safety in D.C. It's all the people who visit there. We have people that go there, millions of people from all over the country. They deserve to go to a national capital that's not in disgrace and despair, and that's what they're doing in Washington. So I don't really care about what they think, truthfully.
Let me let Lencia, because she actually lives in D.C., well, in the D.C. area.
Well, okay. Now, you heard the numbers. They're dealing on polls of what people feel. 80% think there's not going to be any noticeable. 80% of the people in D.C. Play very briefly, one more time, that quote, that report, that package from FNTV 11. And let's hear the numbers. 80% of people in D.C. think that violent crime, that crime is not going to go down. Abby goes on with a poll asking Scott, and he's the worst person on earth because he doesn't care what the people think. He actually cares about what is happening on the ground, and this is what's happening on the ground.
When the National Guard hit the ground in Washington last week, that city's crime fight went into overdrive. And now we're seeing the impact and the dramatic reductions in crime. When the National Guard rolled into Washington last week, the locals seemed skeptical.
The crime is minimal here. There's not really a lot of crime here. It looks like window dressing to me.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
Okay, stop there. That's enough. 7 days, no murders in the city. Who's right here? The polls or is Scott Jennings right? 83% down in carjackings. Who's right? The polls that say this is a bad idea or the fact that there is real safety in D.C.? Robberies down 46%. Who's right? Some poll commissioned by some liberal outlet? Or are the people that actually want their neighborhood safer? Right. All violent crimes down, 22% drop in a week. So you have articles today. Here's one from I believe this is Washington Post. ICE is joining D.C. police patrols. Moped drivers are an early target. A growing number of delivery drivers, most of them from Central or South America, are being detained by federal agents on D.C. streets and put into immigration detention in one of the most visible and high-profile effects of President Donald Trump federalizing the D.C. police force. Many of these cases are the result of a new practice. Immigration and customs enforcement agents are accompanying D.C. officers on moped traffic stops to determine the immigration status of those delivery drivers. Can you imagine if every single police force in America was using this policy? What would happen to the crime numbers? We've already heard what has happened. Now, this story goes on, and oh my goodness, it is just, terrible. One of these immigrants, Gabriel Raviello Torabella, 22, never attained a work permit or a driver's license, but nonetheless, he managed to deliver for DoorDash by registering as a biker. Then he got into a crash on his moped, the victim of a hit and run that left him in the hospital for 3 months. I don't want to be a loser. I want to make you proud, he told his mama. In an incident that has gone viral, he was seen driving his moped when a D.C. police cruiser pulled up beside him. Video shows soon after he was detained. He was taken on Wednesday to a detention center in Virginia. He's got a deportation order, and everybody's almost crying because it's just so unfair. Unfair. He didn't want to be a loser, and what did Donald Trump and those mean ICE agents do? They took him to jail. He didn't have license. He doesn't have registration, doesn't have insurance, here illegally, but he's the victim of an unfair policy. And now, get this, Donald Trump's going to go out on patrol with the police and the military. We have got so much more, folks. Ron DeSantis, that's Princess Diana's favorite governor. He made a statement. Have you seen the video of that guy that was driving on the Florida Turnpike, tries to make a U-turn, car crashes into his truck? I mean, what a harebrained idea. Anybody that drives knows you don't do that on any major highway, especially a truck, a semi. Anyway, got his license where? California, doesn't speak a word of English. We've got Ron DeSantis on that. The cuts are too long to play today. We'll try to save them for tomorrow, or else deal with it. There are a lot of people upset with Stephen Miller's cuts about the stupid elderly hippies, white hippies, he said, and people are unhappy about that. Bed Bath & Beyond, not moving to California. And they're upset. You know, a lot of people, and my friends have been sending me this. They've been outraged. My black friends have been sending me this stuff. Outraged, because Donald Trump has, number one, said things about all the emphasis that the Smithsonian puts on slavery. And then he made some remarks, and they're like, oh, here's your racist president again. Here's your racist president. We got a quote from a woman who actually has dealt with the Smithsonian. Can't play all of it, but we're going to just play a minute or two of it. That's cut number 14. And this is what's really going on. This is the stuff that my friends that send me all this stuff about how awful Donald Trump is. They never seem to see these stories. So that would be cut 14. Her name is Jane Hopton Cook. She's an author. And here, just a minute of
Smithsonian
it.
museums have been in the news recently because President Trump has authorized a review of the Smithsonian programs. I wanted to share with you a story that happened to me that may help you better understand why a review is a good idea. A few years ago, I was asked to write an article about women's voting rights for the Smithsonian. I chose to write about Susan B. Anthony. She was one of the loudest advocates for women gaining the right to vote. But when my article came back from the Smithsonian, they told me that I needed to describe her as a racist. And I was really stunned. I knew that she was also an abolitionist. She opposed slavery. And at the beginning of the Civil War, she gathered thousands of signatures from Americans calling on President Abraham Lincoln to abolish slavery. And so I really didn't see in her work and in her writings any racism. But what the Smithsonian was trying to emphasize was the fact that after the Civil War, Susan B. Anthony took money from Southern Democrats who'd come back into the Union. Well, why did she do that? Well, the women lost their battle for women's voting rights after the Civil War. Members of Congress had said, we'll take this up after we solve the Civil War. We will talk about women's voting rights. But that didn't happen. So the women had to start all over. They realized that they had to go to southern states because they were going to have to make women's voting rights.
Okay, that's enough of that. But yeah, so that's what's the kind of stuff going on at the Smithsonian. And I have seen other horror stories coming out of that institution. Of course, it's in liberal hands. And I'm telling you, I'm like the rest of Americans. I'm getting so sick of this race behind everything. That woman that held a sleep in, that ran away from her responsibilities, Nicole Collier, she's out making a big, I know we got a break. Do we have at least, Carlos, do we have 37 seconds? Can I take 37 seconds? Well, then Nicole Collier today in Texas, this is the new hero of the Democrats. That's cut number 9. Here we go. 37 seconds, and we'll make it quick.
Chairman, are you aware that during slavery, blacks fled? Are you aware that during the slavery times, blacks fled? They ran away.
I can't hear you very well.
Are you aware that when there was slavery times, blacks fled? During the Nazi times, Jewish people fled. They fled their oppressor.
Yeah, okay. That's it. Let's go to a break. Hit it, Carlos. Are you aware that during the slavery time, black people ran away from their Democrat oppressors? They're still running from the Democrat oppressors. Except you're it. You're in the party of the oppressors, Missy. Stephen Smith, drummer for Journey, born on this day, 1954. That's why we're playing Journey. We'll be back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, the year was 2015, my friends. The Foo Fighters were due for a concert in Kansas City. Also in Kansas City were members of the Westboro Baptist Church. You know, those people that used to say awful things. God hates this one. God hates. Really? That group. So the band responded by driving a truck in front of the Westboro demonstrators, and they rickrolled them. They blasted this song from Rick Astley and kept it going full volume. We got to go, folks. May God bless. Protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be here with you. Okay, tomorrow is, I can't believe it's Friday already, so God willing, we're here for it and hope you are too. In the meantime, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?